Welcome to part 2 of Dayton rims can get you hurt. And one of the things you have to be more aware of than the buds or the pilots is the positioning of the valve stem, because you can't put it on the flat here. You have to be in between. Otherwise, you're going to rip the valve stem out, or you're not going to get the rim and tire on. Several different things that could happen if you aren't mindful. And one of the things is you won't be able to air it out. You get the rim on there as far as it'll go back. Now, there is like a raised part back in here where the inside rim will go against. And you need to get it all the way back so you can get the spacer ring on and get the outside tire on. I already got this one all the way back on, so we're ready for the spacer ring. And the spacer ring, it really doesn't matter that, how you put it on, as long as it goes around the spider. A lot of people call the spider the star, a lot of different names for it. The spacer is just exactly that. It just keeps the rims spaced apart and allows you to get the wedges in and tighten the tires up so they don't come off. So sometimes these spacers can give you problems. Sometimes you have to beat them on, as long as they're the right size, because they do make different sizes of these depending on the star. But as long as it's the right size, it will go on even if you have to use a hammer. Setting the wedges in there ain't all that difficult. I mean, it's kind of straightforward. You just take the wedge, make sure you put it in this way. Do not put it on this way. It's not going to do you any good putting it on that way, because it's not going to tighten up the rim. You have to put it in this way. That's the reason it's called a wedge. If you look close, it looks like a wedge, and that's the purpose of it, to go between the spider, cross, what do you want to call it, and the rim, because that's what locks the rim in place. And as you noticed, the valve stem is right here. I made sure I paid attention. And the other one, as you seen earlier, is right there in the middle here, so you can get to it. But yeah, you just set them on there, and then you go ahead and run the nuts on with your hand for right now. And then after you get them all started, you just snug them up first with the impact. After I put all the nuts on and I snug them up, I'm going to show you the little trick that old timers already know about keeping these things from wobbling. This video looks a little different, probably sounds a little different, at least this part of it, because the GoPro died. But the little secret that I've been saying I'm going to show you, that the old timers and anybody that's dealt with these Dayton rims should know, I'm going to explain it here in a second. Okay, first of all, these nuts, I went ahead and I just ran them up until the wedges no longer wiggled. And then what you do is you set something down on the ground. It don't matter if it's a bottle of bleach, a hammer, as long as it doesn't wobble and it's stable. Then you take and you watch the gap here, and you spin the tire. You don't want to be trying to spin it at 90 mile an hour. You just want to spin it and watch that gap. It's really staying about even right now, but like right there, it's actually closer than anywhere else. So I'm going to start with this nut right here to pull this in. And what you do is you just keep hitting the nuts with each individual nut, and you pull the side that's closest to your object in. You want to pull it in. And you just keep going around until you get them tight. That way as well, and you want to keep spinning it like I have to find where the gap is the smallest and hit that particular nut. And that will true these up to where they're not wobbling going down the road and making the truck, trailer, whatever they're on, actually sway back and forth going down the road. Fairly simple, but it's a little trick that when I was pulling containers out of the rail yard, I don't think anybody at the rail yard did that, because most of those containers with this type of rims on them always wobbled. Most of those guys didn't care because they didn't have customers as the drivers. The people working in the rail yards were hourly, and they really didn't care. But if you're working on a customer's vehicle or your own, you don't want the customer calling you and saying, my trailer or my truck is wandering all over the road because you didn't true the tires up. Or if you're trying to drive one and it's wandering all over the road because you didn't true up the tires, you can only hit yourself in the head for doing that. But that's the little trick. I'm going to go ahead and get on the impact, and I'm going to start, like I said, I'm going to find the closest spot, and I'm going to go ahead and start hitting them and drawing this rim in. You can use a dial indicator, but I honestly think that is kind of overkill. You really don't need to set up a dial indicator and get it that perfect. I mean, if you're that particular, then yeah, you can set up a dial indicator and get it, try and get it closer than just looking at the gap. Well, I appreciate you watching all this. I know it's kind of boring to some yins, but go ahead and subscribe and hit that bell button. I do appreciate it. It helps everybody else out. So when other people don't actually know how to do this stuff, they can find my videos. You all have a better day, and thank you.